Sunshine on me, yeah. Whenever you're around, you open up those eyes, smile at me, yeah. It seems all the songs and all the keys, all for you and me. And the sparrow sing tiny and slow song whenever you're by me. Listen closely, the melody will appear. It's only for us to hear. my surprise, still these butterflies fly inside me, yeah. Whenever you're around, there's a glisten on my world, and all I see, yeah. It seems all the songs and all the keys, all for you and me. And the sparrows sing the tiniest love song whenever you're by me. Listen closely, the melody will appear. It's only for us. It's over here. Hey, hey.
Yeah, where's the one with the quick, just like C to A flat, F minor?
That's under your skin. Let's do that next.
This one? Okay.
Very nervous.
Sound fantastic.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with it. Just gotta wait till the devil takes over. This song is called Under Your Sky. Under your sky, these soft winds blow over me, over me, over me. If the sun refused to light your way, if the sweet smell sprang on the brain, won't stay. Somewhere just over here, I'm never far away. Under your sky, these soft winds blow over me, over me. Over me.
You know, at this point, play as many as you want. It's amazing.
Which one did you want to do? Please forgive me. No.
Yes, do please forgive me. No, man, this is more artsy. It's the way this happened. We'll make it better after that.
Okay.
We'll make everything better after this. how could I describe just before you arrive? Feel every nerve come alive. The smell of your sweet perfume is walking that road. The paint on your nails, the paint on your lips. What words would I use? What faces would I choose to tell you how I'm feeling right now? When you walking up to me as if I'm all you see. That paint on your nails, that paint on your lips. And I heard a bird. I know this sounds really hokey, and I hate when people do this. But I heard a bird, and it made, you know, and it's sort of.
The killer solo.
Thank you very much. I thought so myself. Yeah. Tried my best.
That's why you brought me here.
Sometimes you just gotta let go and just go with what you feel. And like I'm hearing it, trying to hear everything I play, and so I'm really grateful that Robin lets me play how I play over his music. It's really flattering, and I love doing it.
Sound a little more poppy.
Poppy?
Popish. Pop-like. This is top.
Papa? Hey, Pops? Hey.
Top. Okay. Start there. Bring that sun back across this horizon just for me, and bring him to my feet. Rob those west of us the sunshine for their day. I don't care what they say. How am I supposed to see in a moonless sky how you move for me? My eyes are yours as you move across the floor. How could my eyes want for more? Push back the rain, arrest the wind. Rub these clouds out from your sky. I'll make sure the stars know that they must shine upon your silhouette divine. How am I supposed to say in this moonless sky how you move for me? My eyes are yours as you move across the floor. How could my eyes want for more?
Yeah, me too.
Hi, welcome to Live from the Living Room. I'm your host, Logan Ollivier, and with me today on the show is Robin Ranger, who I'm proud to say is a dear friend of mine and obviously a fantastic musician. That was just absolutely mind-blowing. Loved it.
Thanks.
So, I have so many questions, and I don't know if we'll have time for all of them, but I'll try to stick to music, even though I know I'll probably go into some rabbit hole with you here and talk about all sorts of topics. But jazz, how long have you been a jazz musician, and what got you hooked into this style of music?
I really like Helmet, Caius, stuff like that. Stoner metal. I used to like a lot of alternative music when I was younger. New wave, punk rock, stuff like that. And I was really into a band called Helmet. And there is one tune that they do on their album, Betty. And it's a straight up jazz tune because the guitar player also liked jazz. And to be honest, I wasn't really into jazz at all. I liked some jazz, like I knew who Harry Connick Jr. was. I knew who Frank Sinatra, just like everybody else. And I was with a band because I wasn't a very good guitar player. So I became a shitty bass player for this band. And we went on tour, went to Toronto because he had a showcase there through the Ontario Arts Council. And while I was there, I didn't have a lot of money. I think I had $60 for the entire trip. So I was worried about food. So I lived off of hot dogs in Nathan Phillips Square. And while I was there was this guy busking, and he was this Jamaican guy. He had beat up old guitar. He only had about 5 dreads, and they were super thick. Really cool guy. And he played this song, and it had a chord in it that I had never, ever heard before. And just really picked my ears up. And the song ended before I could lift it. He finished the song. So I said, "Excuse me, sir, will you play that song again?" He said, "No, sir, no repeat performances." So I dug in my pocket. I pulled out $5 of my precious street meat money. He said, "Well, why didn't you say so the first time?" And then he played it. So I picked up the chord, lifted the chord, went back to the hotel room, picked up the guitar, muscled this strange chord out. And that chord sort of, I didn't know what it was. I just knew what the shape was. And it helped me realize that the guitar is meant to be played by a human hand. So you can put your fingers down in different combinations along the neck and come up with some really cool stuff. So based on that one shape that I can play anywhere, I tried different variations, and I started to write songs with these shapes. And a friend of mine said, "Wow, it sounds a lot like jazz." I'm like, "Jazz?" And it sort of started from there. Started to collect records, started to listen, started to hang out with other guys that like jazz.
And you have your own show on LU Radio every Sunday.
I've been collecting for about 17 years, and I've got a pretty sizable jazz collection now. I get to play it every Sunday on CILU for a couple of hours. It's my favorite 2 hours a week.
Well, you've shared some of your vinyl with me over the years, but what is your all-time favorite, would you say?
Record?
Yeah.
Well, I feel sort of bad because, some people say this, but some people say it because it's a really great jazz album. Kind of Blue by Miles Davis really sort of taught me everything that I knew about jazz, or at least everything that I appreciated. That took me a long way. So the players on it are really fantastic players. And because I love the record so much, I drove my ex crazy. She hates it probably to this day. Because I truly didn't listen to anything else. For about 2.5 years, I listened to one record over and over and over, and I'd sit there like, "Oh my God, can you believe this? Never had anything so cool in my life." And she's in the other room going, "Yeah." But that one record, I thought, well, this is really amazing. So I started to listen to the other players and buy their records. Cannonball Adderley, but I listened to his albums, and it didn't have that thing that was on Kind of Blue. Then I listened to Bill Evans and listened to Wynton Kelly, and I listened to John Coltrane, and these are all great players, but I was looking for that thing. And then I found out that it was the bass player, Paul Chambers. And that's what I was hearing. And that's what was driving me crazy. That's what I couldn't get enough of. So I started purchasing any record that had Paul Chambers playing on it, which, lucky for me, is all of the great players at that time in the East Coast sound. So I've got a ton of albums with him playing on it. So and really, that's what I'm really a bass player. That isn't very good. Yeah, I'm really a bass player. I'm not really a guitar player or much of a singer.
Oh, I will hands down disagree with you on that. Your voice is haunting. It's amazing.
I didn't even like my voice when I first started performing music, so I would ask other singers to try and sing my stuff, and it wasn't really working out. And then a friend of mine who was a singer said, "You know what, Robin? You do just fine singing your songs. Perhaps you should do it." And the first few gigs I had, I was so shy. I'd whisper. I mean, it was painful. Even to think about it now, to let it out was so frightening. And I remember the gig when it happened, when The Devil came out for the very first time. I was on stage at the Finlandia Club, and there was an event. It was a film festival, and they asked me to play their gala. And I was on stage. I was super nervous. And all of a sudden I started to play, and it was like the Jerry Lewis picture where he takes the potion and turns into Buddy Love. That's what happened. And I've never been the same since. And the stage has always sort of freaked me out because I'm sort of a miserable bastard when I'm not on the stage. And when I perform, it's just a different world. It's romantic. It's soft. It's tender. It's about things that I can't express just walking around.
So what do you find is your biggest influence and motivation when you're writing your music? Like what do you draw from to come up with that beautiful music?
You may laugh when I tell you, but if it wasn't for Ralph the dog, I probably really wouldn't do what I do. And
Ralph the dog?
That's right. The piano, the dog that plays the piano on
Muppets.
Muppet Show. That's right.
Yeah. Okay. No,
it was for him. And
I'm not laughing at that. I get it. Yeah.
So,
huge Muppet fan.
And Jim Henson, in the world of Jim Henson, I mean, especially if you grew up in Ontario, it was unavoidable. It contaminated everyone of a certain age group. And how the Muppet Show introduced kids to music and show tunes and Broadway stars and all that kind of stuff. It's really incredible. But in all seriousness, I love the way that dog sings.
Yeah.
Like, I love the way he sings. He's a fantastic singer. And I really relate to it. So I hear a lot of people say things like everything from Louis Armstrong to Tom Waits to John Mayer and all these different, but I just sang the way it came out. And to be honest, I still don't question it. I just do it.
But it's beautiful.
Thanks.
Outside of music, what are some of your main motivations and drivers? What do you do outside of music? Because you're around the music scene all the time. You're playing jazz. You're kind of the name in jazz in the city.
I'm really lucky. I mean, there are really great players in town, and I'm not trained. I never went to jazz, unlike most of the guys in town who are actually, I play mostly with retired music teachers. But most of the guys that I play with are all schooled. They've been to really cool jazz schools and studied under really cool people. But I'm learning jazz at a much slower pace, sort of gleaning it along the way. And on the bass, the upright bass. But I've written 3 hours of original jazz repertoire. And I'm really lucky that these guys like playing with me. They like the material, so.
Well, Mario was fantastic today. Unfortunately, he couldn't stay for the interview. But how long have you been playing with him, and what's it like to play with someone who really seems to just feel it?
Well, Mario and I are, first of all, it's funny to call him Mario because I've been calling him Soups for so long, and he answers to it. And everyone, so I'll call his house and I'll leave a message and Soups, it's Robin. And when we went overseas, it was really incredible. Thanks to a friend of ours, his name is Greg Ulock. He set up for us a performance. His partner had a play that she had written and directed, and she's the director of a theater company there. And her opening performance, we were invited to go and play. And it was like, wow, we're going to Poland. And it was really sort of complicated because we didn't want to get paid, because as soon as you get paid, then you have to have a contract. Then you have to go through American Music Federation. Then you have to get a working visa. Then you have to worry about paying taxes in 2 different countries on something that's not going to really buy anything anyway. So it's a real hassle, which usually means it takes 6 to 8 months of planning to go and do a show overseas. So it's just put us up and feed us. We'll come and play. And it was really incredible playing with him there and traveling with him. We did 4 different cities in 6 days. We just ate that country right up. So, and traveling with him was a real trip. I think we're planning on going to Italy in exactly a year.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the plan.
So I wouldn't know from a music standpoint, but I know earlier this year we went on a trip through Europe, and the differences in countries is stark to me. Canada compared to Europe. From a music standpoint and doing these shows, is it as equally as different, or is it more, it's music, it's a language everyone can understand?
Well, I think especially jazz guys, I mean, there's always a dream of playing a European show, playing to a European audience. And some of our experiences were really, really fascinating and really fulfilling in that way. Like, it was amazing to go overseas and play. But listeners are listeners all over the place. Like, and it's amazing where I've taken this show. I've taken it really uptown, and I've taken it really downtown, and played in some. I mean, we've played in the Boreal. When you ask about my other interests, one of the things that really fascinates me about this area, this place, is that the people here are, I think we identify more with this land than we do where we're from. So a lot of, if you're Irish Canadian, or if you're French Canadian, or if wherever you're from, especially if you're from a European country or a Scandinavian country, there's a really wonderful boreal sort of perspective that everybody has. And I think that's where a lot of my music comes from, because it's not, I mean, there are distinctly boreal images that are conveyed through the music and through the lyric that I think people really can feel, because we are boreal people, and it consists of a bunch of different worldviews that have all grown together. Sorry, Chewy.
The studio dogs. He likes to have his input every once in a while.
He likes to steal a kiss. What are you talking about?
He got right in your grill there. Yeah, it's not the first time he's done that. He's a bit of a, wow. You and him have been fast friends since you first met him. So with the land and you know, the nature, the beauty of nature in this area, how exactly do you transfer that into a music sense?
Well, how does that transfer into any sense? Rock climbing is a really wonderful example. It's fun, but it destroys the land. It's awful. Mm-hmm. Everyone likes to have a cottage, but we don't like to have the rest of the industry that goes along with having a cottage, like having a really great job where you pay lots of taxes. So our perspectives on how we use the land and what it's for, I think, is really difficult, especially in Canada, because ideologically, nobody wants to continue to burn holes in the ozone, but at the same time, everyone would like to have a microwave oven. So we sort of have to make a fundamental choice about how we're going to, quote, respect the land, because it's really hard to live a middle-class life when there's nothing to bring to the international market. We have very few things to bring to the international market. Minerals and fossil fuels are one. So I'm curious to see how everything's going to be resolved over the next, let's say, 15, 20 years before they start reaching some political targets. I think it'll be fun to watch.
It's going to be a wild time. The world is tumultuous, I guess, to say the least, right now. And do you ever find that the current climate of society is ever a button you want to kind of press and kind of put into your music?
That's a tough thing, because in some ways the discussion wraps around how can we keep an artistic expression from being a commodified expression. And a lot of, if we're going to talk about revolutionary acts or acts of self-determination or acts of reactionary acts where we're going to use our voice, quote unquote, to send a message, well, we're still sending it out through a song, which is a commodity. And I think that if you commodify any idea, then you've taken some of its power. Having said that, I think that you can take a commodity and make something out of it that can really transform people. And I think that's where a lot of Morris, I can't believe I'm about to quote Morrissey, but he said it's so easy to laugh and it's so easy to hate, but it takes strength to be gentle and kind. I'd rather write pretty songs. I'd rather write about things that I think are beautiful or lovely or worth loving or make me feel loved.
Well, it's important too. We live in an age where there's a heck of a lot of negativity around, and a lot of things. You don't have to travel far if you're looking for things to upset you. But we kind of lose sight on what is beauty in this world. But
there's also a lot of people who are capitalizing on that misery and on that fear, like a lot of pop artists, especially when we talk about different genres. And we have people who are trying to pen songs that I know they hope get picked up virally so that they will be the voice of whatever movement du jour that they think they're representing. And this is what I mean about it's hard to write into a song something that you want to convey that has a political message or a social message. It could be watered down just by the fact that it's an MP3. A friend of mine named Nick Rose wrote a song, and Nick Rose is a non-Indigenous singer, songwriter, actor. He's a great guy. I met him when I went on a singer-songwriter tour, which I was a very different sound from everybody else. A lot of stomp and tom sort of stuff. And this one fellow, Nick Rose, he wrote the song about Tom Longboat, who was a runner at the turn of last century. And he was from Six Nations. And he went to the Olympics in England. And when he they didn't want him. They put up all this fight for him not to go because they claimed he wasn't an amateur. But he went anyhow, and he ran. And he was 5 minutes in front of everybody else, and he collapsed. And there was no CSI or anything like that. So nobody could prove that he was tampered with. And it remained sort of an awful mystery. And the song that he wrote was really wonderful because I couldn't help but feel this sense of hope. Like, even though you're not wanted, even though you know they don't want you, you know that there will be a lot of barriers, and they may be rude, they may be unkind, but run anyhow, even if everything's against you. So I asked him if I could play this song and record this song, and he said yes. So it was on my very first album. And I think it's acts like that when people talk about revolutionary acts or about self-determining through music. Those are acts of reconciliation that I think are really important.
Right. I think we're pretty close to time here, so I'm going to switch gears a bit and ask a very important question. Who do you think would be better to manage a band as they're going overseas to play in Europe? Professor Bunsen Honeydew, or I had a guy for this too. I'm messing this one up because I had a really good other option, but now I'm going to say Inspector Gadget.
First of all, Honeydew fucks everything up. But it's the unsuspecting Beaker who's in the role of Penny, who really prevents Gadget from fucking everything up. So we're talking. Yeah. So we're sort of talking about the puppet.
Which sidekick is going to be better?
That's right. So
I'd trust Scooter out of anybody.
Yeah.
Scooter's pretty reliable.
Well, he's the stage manager. Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
And if you watch any of the pictures, like, this is terrible, but if you watch any of the Muppet pictures, Scooter's pretty happy. Like, he keeps everything together. Kermit can't keep it together. Piggy can't handle anything.
Not at all, yeah.
Like,
Animals just out of control.
Gonzo is deliberately trying to sabotage everything. And you got the guy that throws the fish. Like, those people are just agents of chaos. The only thing you have is Kermit, who's obviously type AAA, about to peek out at it. Well, he peeks out all the time. Right? Scooter's the magic.
Yeah, he's in the band. The band's
who would
always-
manage? That's the question was who would manage.
Yeah, Scooter.
So trust Scooter.
We went with option C, Scooter. Yeah. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the show, Robin.
Thanks for having us.
I also have a gift for you. Here's a t-shirt, Live from the Living Room t-shirt from our sponsor, Impact Promotion. Thank you very much.
You know what's really cool about this shirt? It'll go with everything else I wear.
Robin Ranger, Live from the Living Room. Thank you very much.